The Mating School by Jonas Mears, Chapters 19 and 20. Chapter 19. Lily's mind was different as a snow leopard. Quiet. There were only the most basic things: run or fight. The smell of too many strangers around. The smell of the trees, too. Cool and fresh. They seemed close now as compared to before her world changed forever. The others were too close. It was too noisy. She hissed instinctively, and the others backed away, but not enough. A slight gap was created in the group of onlookers, almost big enough for her to slip through, and she leaped towards the opening. The sensation was unbelievable. The speed and power carried her further than she expected. The people closest scattered like ants doused with a bucket of water. She landed on her front legs, and her body seemed to bend in such a natural way, absorbing the impact before gracefully shifting weight to her hind legs. It wasn't like walking as a human. Her back legs pushed off from the ground, and she flew forward again. She caught sight of the group she'd just escaped from in the corner of her eye. Someone had transformed into a wolf as if to come after her. "Just let her be for now, Michael," said one of the older female healers. The other students stood gossiping. They didn't even seem to notice the second bell had rung. "Yeah. Lily, I think," said a student several feet away, talking to her friend as if in answer to something. "Lily." The name seemed so familiar. Lily. Her subconscious seemed to call out to her. And yet, at this moment, she wasn't Lily. She just was. She was alive, and she was powerful and free. The warmth of the sunlight that soaked into her fur was replaced with the cool darkness and solace of the forest. She could feel the blood and adrenaline pulsing through her body. She could hear the pounding of her heart in her ears as the stimulation of her run started to dissipate. The sounds of the grassy clearing were replaced with soft sounds of animals and the whisper of leaves in the slight breeze. Lily felt a sense that everything was how it was meant to be. In the quiet shelter of the oak trees, her mind started to come back to her. It was surreal. She looked through her legs to see her spotted tail. She flicked it as if in annoyance or contemplation. It was utterly bizarre. To think the thought to move it and to have this new body, this beautiful creature carry out the action. She saw a thick horizontal branch up ahead, and she leaped onto it with perfect balance. She lay down and breathed deeply as her heartbeat began to slow again. Time seemed to stand still as the bright spring afternoon turned into evening. "Guess I missed general agility," Lily thought to herself, but it didn't seem important. It seemed far away now. She knew it was close to dinner time, but she hadn't eaten outside of the lunch hour for weeks now, and the thought of going now seemed repulsive. She didn't want other students to gawk and gossip about her, not when she could just stay in the safety of her trees. She wasn't hungry at all anyway. It was a while before she remembered that you can't eat in animal form. She wondered if that's why she didn't feel hungry. The rich lavender sunset had nearly turned to black before a new sound approached. The crisp sounds of leaves as an animal stepped over them, moving in a slow, methodical way. She could hear it getting closer, but she made no effort to move out of its way. Let it come. And if it does cause me trouble, I have the advantage from this height and with the sharpness of my teeth and claws. But the approaching animal only turned out to be a small, tawny wolf. Anne, Lily seemed to know instinctively. Lily wasn't sure what to do then. Her actions seemed reasonable at the time, but she wondered if she should be embarrassed about running away earlier. And yet, she couldn't seem to find the will to care. And now, what was there to do but to sit on her perch of safety and breathe in the feeling of being alive? Anne watched her for long moments, as if not sure if Lily would attack. But when it seemed clear that Lily wouldn't, Anne gave an oddly mournful howl to the glass-domed ceiling. It was answered by another howl seeming a long distance away. Seeming satisfied, Anne's wolf started circling and digging a bit at the dirt at the base of a large oak tree. Curling into a ball and nestled between the exposed roots of the tree, Anne drifted into sleep. It wasn't until the sky had turned black and the forest sounds had settled into the rhythmic symphony of night that Lily found herself drifting off as well. There would surely be hell to pay tomorrow, explanations to make and rumors to avoid, classes to attend. But for tonight at least it was cool, dark, and peaceful. Chapter 20. The morning had only started to become light when Lily woke in her animal form. She felt rested and alert. Far below at the base of the tree, Anne's tawny wolf was still asleep. Lily thought for a while about what to do. The memories from last night came back so suddenly. Balanced and standing on her tree branch, she stretched her legs. She wondered if she should wake Anne and what? She imagined herself shifting back to her human form and standing awkward-like and saying something like, "Ah, hi, Anne. I'm sorry, you had to sleep outside on the ground." And yet, she didn't really. Now Lily thought about it. She didn't know why Anne had come, and now what she desired most was to go back inside and find a private practice room to shift back in. It felt wrong to leave Anne. And yet, the other option wasn't appealing. She'd talk to Anne at some point, just not right now. She thought about saying something about not being sure if she'd shift back naked, but she knew it was an excuse. Her school uniform wasn't anywhere to be seen after she shifted, so it seemed safe to assume that it was shifting material. It made sense anyway in a school of shifters. Maybe another excuse would become apparent by the time she had to talk to Anne. With that, she leaped down from her tree with silent grace. The small wolf stirred slightly but didn't wake, and Lily took that as her opportunity to move away towards the mouth of the forest. She'd talk to Anne later. Part 2. The courtyard was blissfully quiet. Then again, it was probably before 6 a.m. It was strange walking towards the castle doors in her leopard form. Her shoulders seemed to roll in a lazy yet intimidating way. She felt mindful of every step. 1, 3, 2, 4, 1, 3, 2, 4. The doors slid open as she approached. If another student came across her, they'd probably turn and run the other way. But the path to her favorite study room was blissfully clear of anyone. A leopard walking along the stone corridor of the beautiful building seemed like an odd image, but in reality, it seemed somehow fitting. She worried about when she reached the study room because she wasn't sure how she'd manage to open the door, but it turned out to be a simple task. Jumping to stand slightly on her hind legs, the handle turned easily under the weight of one of her massive paws. Once inside, she leaned against the back of the door, pushing it closed. She wouldn't be able to lock it in this form, and yet, no one would be coming here at 6 a.m. She felt a degree of safety. She was grateful she could attempt to shift back away from prying eyes. She wasn't entirely sure how to shift back, but she needn't have worried. The change came easily and smoothly. There was no pain. Her school uniform returned to her human form. It was a strange thing to be back in her human form. So strange, in fact, that she found herself locking the door to the study room and turning off the light so it would appear unoccupied from the tiny window that faced the corridor outside. She liked this room because of the comfortable foam rug and bean-filled chairs. She liked the relaxing texture of the wooden siding on the walls. But today she just sat in the furthest corner of the rug and hugged her knees to her chest. She thought about so many things. She thought about her old pack and old friends. She thought about how she felt like a different person, perhaps more stubborn and rebellious, but more powerful also. She had done it. After all these years, it felt surreal. She thought about how wonderful it felt to be in her second form. She wondered how much more work was to come now that she had shifted. How hard would it be to control the new form, the new power, and potentially new magic that comes with this new form? She thought about trying to shift back again now, as if to practice, but she felt too tired to try. It took some time to get reaccustomed to the school schedule again. Today is Wednesday, she reminded herself. She'd have abilities class, and then energy control after lunch. She wondered what her teachers and Anne might say. Would she be in trouble for missing class? Would Anne be mad that she ditched her this morning?